Hi guys, Kinjongli here, back with another online commentary battle. This battle was sent in by Esrax of the Immortals of War Clan here, playing as the Julii Romans, and his ally is Sparky, also of the Immortals of War Clan. They're playing against Terminator of the Crusaders of Hell Clan and Mohamed of the Titans Clan. And Mohamed there with the Romans and Terminator with Macedon. So as we can see here, as with all matchups involving Greece, the team using Greece usually has a cav disadvantage, and a pretty large one at that. So Terminator here has 6 cav, and Mohamed here has 6 as well. Esrax has 6, so it's really 12v6 in terms of cav, and the Macedonian slash Roman team will have to use that really to its full effect and use them very effectively, which shouldn't be too hard given Terminator's CWB background, as well as Mohamed's proficiency with cav. What Esrax and Sparky really want to do is probably try and get a prolonged infantry engagement that's favorable for the Spartans, and the important thing here is that it's a prolonged engagement. So with the Spartans and these really heavy upgrades, they're gold silver, I think. So very heavily upgraded Spartans. If you can just stick them in there in a fight against the Urbans, probably as for a long time, or even against the Royal Pikes, if you can just stick them in a fight against them for a long time, you're going to do fairly well. And also these Spartans are going to be very good for warding off cav attacks on the infantry, at least. I think Mohamed and Terminator can really use the cav advantage quite well to really harass Esrax's team, especially around the back here, which seems to be what Terminator and Mohamed are thinking of. Mohamed's got his cav on this side, Terminator on the other side, so they should be able to really do a lot of damage with this cav, at least against some of the enemy cav units. Usually I like to go and target down the enemy cav when I have a big cav advantage. I really like doing this because if you kill all the enemy cav, then you're pretty much free to just roam around and do whatever you want with your own. But Terminator's going to go in here and target the infantry of Esrax, going to get a charge into some of these testudos, which is really nice. Routing 2 of these testudos, so very nicely done there. And I think Esrax should not have testudoed there. Testudos don't take cav charges very well generally. It means they don't route, but they do lose a lot of guys. I would have probably let them be in tight formation, but on guard mode, and just stood them there, and just presented a bit of a wall. Usually, if you pop them out of guard mode while the cav is charged in, you can actually tangle up the enemy cav pretty well sometimes, and I usually like doing it that way. Putting them in testudo really means you're not really going to get any kills on the cav. I guess you can try and explode the testudos outwards and put them out of guard mode, so that could be able to tangle up some cav and get some kills as well. But you do lose a lot of guys while they are getting charged in the testudo formation, so that is something you have to consider. But as you could see back here, the infantry push did get them a few kills on the Macedonian pike. The Macedonian pike also going to push with Mohamed's in combination with the Praetorian cav now, which is really nice to see. Some of Mohamed's cav is back here. I think he was setting up for a kind of cav surround, but I think Esrax probably saw through that. But Esrax is going to get some of his cav caught here. Terminator is also going to come in and probably try and support around here, or at least do damage to some of this infantry, if nothing else, with this companion cav. Very high charge bonus on these guys, so if they can get some nice kills on the infantry, it would be really great. I think Mohamed's infantry is a bit far back here. I think he's getting Sparky get a little bit of a surround on the Macedonian pikes here, and there aren't many of them left, and they're routing very, very quickly, so Mohamed maybe needs to support a little bit better here on this flank. He is running a lot of urban cohorts around, but he's going to be sacrificing a lot of Terminator's pikes in the process. Esrax seems to have gotten away with all of his cav units still around, so that is good for him. And maybe it was probably just Mohamed not having enough local cav around. A lot of his cav, a lot of the Mohamed's team, Terminator's cav, was on this side, so it wasn't able to come around here and support in time. He decided to go for some infantry charges instead, which is also fine. But that does mean that Mohamed isn't really quite able to take out Esrax's cav, even though he did get the better engagement there, just because he didn't have the numbers really. He's going to go in for a charge now, which looks really good actually. The general is actually also in this cav unit, so very nice charge going in here, very perfect, pretty much horizontal slice through Esrax's guys, and pretty much killing off 2 units instantly and routing a third. So that's very, very good to see if you're Mohamed. Meanwhile though, these spawns have been doing some work. They're getting into the urbans now, but I suspect these urbans will have been able to get quite a bit of peeler off into these spawns. So these spawns are going to be fighting, doing pretty well, but yeah, it looks like Mohamed's also not going to be very offensive with these urban cohorts. Meanwhile over here though, it looks like a lot of, I think this is a bunch of urbans, and as well as some cav is going to die here from Esrax. So very nice catch there from Mohamed. As you can see, Mohamed really stretched a lot of his urbans out to this side, and he got a lot of map control over here. So while Esrax was running away to this side, he just charged in and took out a lot of Esrax's cav. And Terminator also had cav on this side, I believe, so he was able to help out a bit there as well. Meanwhile though, these spawns are doing quite well here in the center, and these urbans are right behind them. These extra urbans are going to come back around though, so Esrax's team does have to watch out for those. Meanwhile, Terminator and Mohamed here, running around trying to ward off some of this Praetorian cav and prevent them doing back charges. Esrax just going to chase off some routing units here. Mohamed's going to throw in some of these urbans and try and catch the Spartans out in a bad position. The positioning for the urbans does look pretty good here, to be honest. It looks like they are going to get into the backs here as well, and yeah, but the Spartans also very compact, so that does mean they have a lot of power in this concentrated kind of area, and with the urbans helping out as well, it's going to be tough to break them. But I think, yeah, this is actually a nice spot. So because most of the things here are urbans, a cav charge through here won't really get caught by that many pikes, so I think this is a nice angle to take it from as well. Some spawn's going to pour in from this flank, but they are a bit isolated, so they are going to get caught by some of these urbans as they come in. Nice charge coming from Mo here. I expect this to do quite a bit of damage. It is going to rout 2 units here, but I think they were fairly depleted, but very good routes nonetheless. One is a Spartan unit, and another route here, so that charge did do quite a bit of work, so that's good to see if you're Mohamed. I think the Spartans did manage to turn around in time though, so some cav, the cav is going to die off there, but he got a fairly decent exchange, I'd say, for what he did with those cav. Some Praetorian cavalry coming in here to harass, and this is actually one of the good things about having cav left over if you are the faction with Greece. It's because you so often end up in kind of a box situation that usually if you have 1 or 2 cav units left over, you can really punish your opponent for getting too invested on the front of your pikes. But it looks like Mohamed has a lot of volume at the moment, but it is looking fairly even. As I said before, the Spartans have been getting work done, so we'll see if they can hold out much longer. They are wearing very thin though. But I think it looks like Esrax actually has a cav advantage now after that charge through here center. So Esrax is going to be able to punish some of Mohamed's infantry on the outside here. Maybe get a good charge or 2 in. Going to kill the enemy general, which is probably the Greek general, I think, because Esrax just charged in there. Sorry, not the Greek general. The might be the Praetorian cavalry general. Maybe I missed that. Maybe it was the Julii general. I'm not sure, but one of the generals has died, and this has started chain route. So I suspect it was because of Esrax's charge through here. He lost a lot of cav, but it did snowball the chain route. And he's going to be able to clean up as well. So, a very interesting game. I think Mohamed charged in here. It was a really nice charge. I would have gone for it myself as well, like 100% gone for this charge through the middle here, just because most of the stuff there were urbans, and there weren't many pikes that could really block you that well. But maybe he just didn't pull out early enough, and maybe kept his cav in there a bit too long, or maybe Sparky just turned his pikes around just in time to intercept that cav. So really just tells you how strong the Spartans are, if they can turn around in that situation and not rout. And yeah, so very nice game. I think really came down to that charge. If Mohamed was able to pull out with some of his cav left, he could have he could have done a lot more work, of course, but he could also have possibly intercepted some of Esrax's charges. And I think it was very crucial that Esrax had cav left at the end, because when you're in that box situation with a pike faction, you really want cav left over so that you can kill infantry units as they're stuck on the outside of the pike. That's very vital. If you just let yourself kind of if you let things kind of roll on with an infantry disadvantage, you're probably going to lose it. So I think it was very vital that Esrax had those 2 Praetorian cav units left there to do quite a bit of work. But good game to both sides. I think this was definitely a very close one. Could have gone either way for a lot of it, and very back and forth. So thanks for the game. I'll see you guys another time.